On the icy moon of Callisto, a rebellion is forming among the miners who are removing the valuable minerals from the surface. The local authorities on the planet no longer trust the miners, and conflict soon breaks out. Undaunted 2200 Callisto is part of the Undaunted series from Osprey Games. This is the first entry in the series that is outside the realm of World War II. Instead of recreating a historical conflict, Undaunted 2200 Callisto focuses on the science fiction setting of Callisto, one of the moons of Jupiter. The Lunar Frontier Authority, or LFA, are at odds with a local mining branch known as the Breakers over the rich mineral deposits on Callisto. Tensions are at the breaking point as both sides arm up for the inevitable conflict. In the game, you command either the Breakers, looking to make a stand, or the LFA security forces who are seeking to gain full control. The action plays out over a series of scenarios that take place across the moon. The game provides components that are specific to both factions, which include the following. The Breakers have 69 cards, 13 personnel counters, 21 control markers, and 2 standees. The LFA have 67 cards, 8 LFA personnel counters, 21 control markers, and 5 standees. The rest of the components include 7 ready and 7 suppressed standee bases, 6 building and bunker markers, 3 escape pod and pit trap markers, 4 comms, 6 civilian and prisoner markers, 1 initiative marker, 2 commander markers, 4 door markers, 12 dice, and 4 force markers. There is also a rulebook, scenario book, and solo book. A unit is a small group of individuals or a vehicle or a piloted mech. Each unit is represented by a combat counter. The personnel or crew in a unit is represented by 2 to 5 combat cards. A squad is a collection of units, normally under a commander like a sergeant or squad leader. Squads are divided into 2 forces, which start in different positions. The cards are the heart of the game, representing the people, mechs, and vehicles that are part of your forces. You begin the game with some cards in your hand, the deck, and personal supply as per the scenario. Playing combat cards allows you to gain the initiative, move your forces, and engage in combat with the enemy. The command cards will let you bolster your forces by adding cards to your deck from the supply, but if you take a hit from enemy fire, you must permanently remove a card from your deck. Then there are interference cards. These cards represent chaos on the battlefield, much like the fog of war in the historical versions of Undaunted. You cannot play these cards except during the initiative phase. You may discard them, but you cannot remove them from your deck unless you use a recon action. Scenarios are played on a board which is broken up into different types of spaces. Spaces that may feature the outer edge of the play area which cannot be crossed or targeted. Different levels of elevation that determine the combat dice used. Bridges that connect areas, and impassable spaces that cannot be entered by certain combat counters. The bridges are divided into elevated and non-elevated sections. The supports are represented by 2 elevated spaces that touch the deck of the bridge. These 2 spaces may have different defense bonuses, and one may not be passable while the other is passable. A unit may only enter or exit the deck of the bridge from one of its supports. They cannot move from its foundation directly to the deck or vice versa. Units may pass under the deck of the bridge as its foundation creates a connected area. Scouted spaces are considered scouted at all elevations regardless of the presence of the bridge, but units on a bridge deck cannot attack units on the foundation as it is underneath, and units on the foundation cannot attack the bridge. When calculating range, the foundation and deck count as a single space. A long bridge may connect multiple bridge decks, so you can move from one deck to an adjacent one on the same bridge. In addition, there are objective points which help determine victory. Cover bonuses are enjoyed by units occupying the space. spawn points where new counters are added to the board, and setup icons that will be used according to the scenario book. You may find special equipment which your personnel can use in combat or support actions if they are in the same location. If the equipment icon is present, you can play the appropriate combat card to perform actions with that equipment, instead of the actions listed on the card. Vehicle or mech unit combat cards cannot be played when using equipment. Combat counters represent the personnel on the board that you control with the combat cards, while standees represent mechs and vehicles. Information on both includes its name, squad designation, defense value, its ready or suppressed status, and friendly defense bonus that's provided to friendly personnel units in the space of the standee. The bonus only works if the standee is in the ready state, not the suppressed one. Play in Undaunted 2200 Callisto centers on taking actions as directed by the cards in your hand. There are 3 basic types of actions: movement, support, and combat. You may move a combat counter through scouted or controlled spaces. Move the scout through non-scouted and uncontrolled spaces to consider them scouted, or guide a friendly personnel unit through scouted or controlled spaces. You may bolster to move cards from supply to your discard pile. Command to add cards from the deck to your hand. Take control of scouted spaces on the board. Inspire to take discarded cards back to your hand. Pathfind surrounding spaces to scout them. And Recon to remove interference cards from your hand. You may attack enemy forces by targeting those in range or attacking a space depending on the unit. Add up the defense value, all cover bonuses in range, and then roll a die to determine the success of the attack. What follows is a setup for the 2-player game of Undaunted 2200 Callisto. Choose a scenario. While it is recommended that you play the scenarios in order, you can choose any scenario you want. Place the board between the players and note any special rules or reminders before setting up the game. Next, each player chooses a faction to play and utilizes their cards, combat counters, force and control markers as indicated in the scenario book. Now, place the combat counters, control markers, and all tokens on the board as stated in the scenario, and look to see that they are the correct side up. Once completed, give the initiative marker to the faction as indicated by the scenario. Then, find the starting cards tables for the faction. Take all cards marked deck, shuffle them, and place them face down in front of you. Leave space for a discard pile. After that, find all cards marked supply for your faction and place them face up nearby. The force markers are used to group cards by force, then by squad. Both players should see each other's supply. Return all leftover cards to the box. Check the objectives for each faction and start the first round. The game follows the same play format as previous editions in the Undaunted series. Each round consists of 3 phases: drawing cards, determining initiative, and player turns. Once completed, you start a new round. Both players draw 4 cards from their deck to create a hand. If your deck is empty, shuffle the discard pile to create a new deck. To determine initiative, both players choose and then reveal a card from their hand. The highest number wins the initiative marker and goes first. If there is a tie, the player who has the initiative marker from the last turn keeps it. Both cards are now discarded. Next, the player with initiative plays the cards in their hand one at a time into the play area. You can choose one of the listed actions on the card and perform it in full. In addition, you can ready the unit associated with the card if it is suppressed. Suppressed units cannot take actions until the suppression is removed by readying the unit. Or you can return the card to the supply area. This is known as hunkering down. You can retrieve a card from the supply area by taking a bolster action. When taking combat card action, if there's a corresponding counter that is not on the board, place it there immediately, then take the action. Remember that you cannot play interference cards during your turn. but you can discard it or use the card during initiative. Only a recon action will remove the interference card from your deck. You cannot play Hunker Down or place a combat counter with an interference card. Once they play all the cards they want, their turn ends. The cards played, along with any cards left in their hand, are moved face up to the discard pile. You cannot save any of the cards in your hand. Now the other player or players take their turn the same way. There are two paths to victory in each scenario. Either control the number of objective points or neutralize the designated enemy counters, both of which are listed in the scenario overview to win immediately. What follows is the play example from the rulebook. It uses Scenario 1, we'll take it by force if we have to, and pits the Breakers, played by Anne, against the LFA player, who's played by Isaac. Each draws 4 cards from their deck and proceeds to the initiative phase. Both players reveal the card that they have selected, and Isaac's Command V has the higher initiative value, so he gets the initiative marker. The cards used for initiative are now discarded. Isaac has the following cards in his hand. He wants to push forward to capture the high ground in the center, so he plays Scout Y and uses the Scout action. This lets Isaac move the Scout 2 spaces to Space B, and since no LFA control marker is present in Space B, he places one there with the scouted side face up. This action pulls an interference card from his supply to his discard pile. Now that the spaces are scouted, Isaac plays Corp Sec Z card to move his corresponding unit into the space A. Isaac now discards the interference card in his hand, since it cannot be played, and places both played cards into the discard pile as well. His turn is now over. Anne has the following cards. She wants to counter Isaac's move, so she plays Nail Gunner C and moves the unit into Space C. Next, she plays Squad Leader C to inspire Nail Gunner C. The Inspire action allows her to take back the Nail Gunner C card and play it again. This time she uses the attack action of the card and targets Isaac's Scout Y, which is at the higher elevation. She rolls 2 die 8s, and the results are 3 and 7. The 3 is lower than Scout Y's defense value, so it misses. However, the 7 is higher than its defense value, so it hits. Isaac has no cards in hand, so he searches his discard pile and removes the Scout Y card from the game. Next, Anne plays the Supervisor card and uses the Bolster action. This allows her to add 2 Nail Gunner C cards and a single Ripper B card from her supply to her discard pile. Anne has no cards left in hand, so she ends her turn and places all cards in the play area into the discard pile. With both players having played their turn, the next round begins. The victory conditions are stated for each scenario. In Scenario 1, if either faction controls 5 objective points, which are shown on the board, or if they neutralize 3 enemy units, they win the game. In some scenarios, a faction will need to eliminate a select number of enemy units or enemy units that are specified in the victory conditions. All neutralized enemy counters are placed in front of you to keep track. Victory is achieved the moment either condition is met. And that is a brief rundown of Undaunted 2200 Callisto. Future videos in the series will focus on other aspects of the rules for a better understanding of the game. Thank you for watching. You can find more videos on how to play games, along with rules explanations, play examples, unboxings, and more when you subscribe to the Seek Out and Play YouTube channel. In addition, there is a monthly Speak Out and Play podcast which is posted on the Seek Out and Play YouTube channel on the last Wednesday of each month. The audio version comes out 48 hours earlier on Buzzsprout and Spotify. At least one new video is released every week, so I will see you next Wednesday.